YouTube! Welcome to Fred's Full Throttle. This week I'm going to go back to my roots a bit and we're going to cover some C8 Z06 news and talk a little bit about what this means. There have been some interesting developments in the last few days which I feel are not only worth mentioning but stand out over the last several weeks of limited news. Up first, I wanted to touch a little bit on last week's video about Z06 fatigue. I was blown away at the positive response and the number of comments from people not only agreeing with me, but adding their take in the comments. I was a little unsure on how that video was going to be taken and if Corvette fans out there would roast me or not, but the reception has been very positive. The general takeaway, at least from the comments, is that many of you, maybe most of you, are feeling at least some level of Z06 fatigue as I described it. Several of you went as far as to say that you'd moved on and actually purchased other cars, while a general consensus is that GM really has dropped the ball with regards to communication. My dad emailed me after seeing the video, and he said that even he has Z06 fatigue, and he doesn't even have any interest in getting the car. I think that says something. I was a bit relieved to know that it wasn't just me. It's a lot of effort researching all the news, figuring out what stories about cars to cover, and specifically with the Z06 to find my angle or take on a story and make sure not to copy other publications while also providing interesting or thought-provoking videos. It means that much of the time I am deep in the Z06 news cycle. And for every one of the stories that makes it to my videos, there's likely 2 or 3 that I've decided not to cover. I wondered if this actually overexposed me compared to my viewers, and maybe I was just feeling the results of the types of videos I make. It was nice to learn that that was not the case, and that it wasn't even just 1 or 2 or even 10 people, but actually dozens who felt the same as me. Even as I film this video, I'm getting a new comment every hour or 2 chiming in, and this video has more likes in the 3 days that it's been live than many of the other recent videos I've made. I do want to address, though, one point that was made a few times and hopefully be as clear as possible. The comments were along the lines of hoping that GM doesn't think I'm unfairly singling them out, or bashing them, or being unfair to them. Being fully transparent, I have a huge amount of respect for GM. They make world-class vehicles, they have top-notch design and engineering teams, and frequently make some of the most interesting performance cars that you can buy that are made in North America. They employ tens of thousands of people, all of whom have had to navigate a frankly crazy set of circumstances to deliver us remarkable vehicles. None of my comments were intended to be harsh or overly critical, and I endeavored to be fair, balanced, and to provide clarity to my points. I also believe that GM is fairly self-aware and does watch the enthusiast space fairly closely. I'm hoping that they saw my video as objective and balanced, and my intent being to shine some light on how us enthusiasts are feeling, as well as some constructive suggestions on how to possibly mend some of those connections that we all have with the brand. I hope that they can see my intent was not to rake them over the coals, but rather to try to raise attention at things I'd love to see improved. Hopefully, if they look at all of my past content, or even just a random subset of it, they'll realize that I frequently do my best to see the silver lining in each situation, urge others not to overreact to things they can't control, and overall, be a bit of a voice of positivity in the Corvette space. The Corvette YouTuber space seems to be full of a lot of sensationalism, clickbait, overblown speculation, drama, and manufactured urgency. My channel for over a year has aimed to be a balanced voice of reason and truth to counter much of what's out there. I'm hoping that GM can see that and that my intent is to help rather than to harm. I am on no one's payroll and I have no incentive here, not even YouTube money, which honestly isn't that much, other than to be an involved enthusiast. I would be happy to engage with GM and help in any way that I can to fix some of these challenges through my platform. I realize I'm still a pretty small YouTuber, but I'm hoping my approach stands out in a sea of all the others. Anyway, I felt it was important to be clear on my stance and to stick to my guns of honesty. And hopefully this clarifies how GM may have seen that video. Up next, as covered by Mid-Engine Corvette Forum, the very first wave of production C8 Z06s has rolled off the production line and are in the process of being shipped out to their respective dealerships. In the past few days, social media has shown pictures of the first Z06, the one that Rick Hendrick paid $3.6 million for, rolling off the line, as well as his dealership and Sioka, both showing a handful of Z06s sitting on the lots, waiting to get into the hands of customers. Of course, most, if not all, of these cars are already spoken for. However, I've seen a few aggressive leeches, scalpers. salespeople, posting on Facebook that they're entertaining offers with six-figure markups on a small number of these cars. Otherwise, though, it's nice to know that this means the quality assurance hold on the production line is resolved, and now production can flow a bit more smoothly. I'll certainly say that although the summer release of the car came and went, it's still better late than never. Up next, and perhaps even more promising and interesting than that news, was the story I saw first on Mid-Engine Corvette Forum, and that's that GM is opening more Z06 allocations this November, like this month. This is a fairly big surprise to me, and I'm sure many others, after GM went out of their way a little over a month ago to announce that they would not be doing any more allocations before the end of the year. While they gave vague reasons of wanting to get the car right, that was about as specific as they got as to the reasons for the original planned pause. This likely means that they were able to solve whatever internal problems they faced faster than expected, and rather than wait it out, they realized they could get rolling a bit sooner than expected. This is great news for all of us sitting on these reservation lists, and it gives some small measure of movement for most of us. I'm excited to see my spot in line drop a few places, maybe more than a few, in the coming weeks. Something is better than nothing. And now for a little bit of a throwback. Earlier this year, when there was a little bit more frequent Z06 news, I did a segment celebrating many of my subscribers' cars. Well, though I hadn't advertised that in a while, as the channel has evolved, a subscriber sent me some info about his car and a couple awesome pictures, and I thought it was too cool to pass up. So I want to spotlight a specific car. Owner Whip R bought this 2017 Grand Sport in black new that year. Fast forward a couple years, and his love for the car had grown, as had his desire for a bit more power. So he sent his car to get some work done, getting a Magnuson 2650 supercharger installed to bump that power up. All that power raises the temperatures though. So he then sent away his car to Callaway Cars to have their HD cooling package installed. This resulted in widening the front air intake for the radiators by about 10 inches on each side and fitting additional heat exchangers across the whole front of the car. The net result is that this car puts out an estimated 588 rear-wheel horsepower with 6 pounds of boost. A very healthy bump from stock on the Grand Sport. Whip did unfortunately end up with the well-known cracked wheel issues that are common to the Grand Sport and the Z06, so he used it as an opportunity to upgrade to a set of 3-piece forged line wheels, which are much stronger than stock. To say that the car looks fantastic is an understatement. As great as I think the C8 and the C8 Z06 look, the C7 Grand Sport and the C7 Z06 with the wide body treatment are my number one in the looks department. Beautiful car, Whip. Thanks for sending me the pictures and info, and here's to many years of enjoyment and embarrassing much more expensive cars. And with that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, Fred out!